Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer. This is Ralph Phillips. I was thinking, Todd Bowles always talked about how he wanted the offense to have a large time of possession. And then we heard some reports have come out that, he really handcuffed Grizzard because he didn't want him to score too fast. I was just, because he wanted to, Todd Bowles has made no bones about that. He likes the run game, time of possession. He's a big fan of it and everything. And we normally did win time of possession. But I got to thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? What coach doesn't want their unit on the field? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we talk about that with sports all the time. We're like, the champions want the ball, to win the game. The good players always want the ball in their hand to win the game. I got to thinking about that. I was like, why would Todd Bowles not want his side of the ball to be on the field? It just seems like, I don't think he's got a lot of confidence in those guys. And, understandably so, maybe. I don't know. This team doesn't make any sense. We're going to talk about that. A lot of goings on around the league. Of course, it's playoff time, so we're going to talk a little bit about that and all the good stuff that happened. And a lot of coaches looking for jobs. A lot of teams looking for coaches. Some mutual symbiosis going on there. What's up, everybody? Craig, how's it going? Marty Rules, brother, what is going on? Tampa guy, Tom, how you doing, brother? I meant to text you and let you know I was going to be on tonight. I forgot. I actually almost forgot to get on. I got to read some stuff. I do this all the time. If I have like 10 minutes to spare before I have to live stream, I'll start reading. And then next thing I know, it'll be like time for me to be on. I'm like, not ready. Let's see. Craig, you like the changes so far? For real? Or are you just being sarcastic? Changes had to happen. There's no doubt about that. I don't think that Grizz got a fair shake. He had to deal with a lot of stuff. And, being a first-time play caller, I think he did. I liked it. I liked what he put out there. I think he's going to go somewhere and do okay. The thing with offensive coordinators, and this is what I've seen throughout the years, is if you don't make it as an offensive coordinator, your career might be over. You know what I'm saying? It's rare if you're an offensive coordinator and you get fired and then you get picked up somewhere else. But I think he will probably do it. I think he'll probably get picked up as a assistant or something, but and it move his way back up. But I think that firing him was kind of a scapegoat thing. Tad Lewis, the secondary coach, Rapone, I think he'd retired, right? There's a list. I kind of have been following it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think those guys are the problem. We've got news happened today. Mike Tomlin has retired or stepped down as the coach of the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a long time. I tell you what, it's weird. Andy Reid's the last one left. He's the last old goat standing, man. I'm sure Harbaugh will get hired somewhere. Tomlin probably too. There's reports that he's been wanting to leave Pittsburgh for a while, and he wants to go somewhere where it's warm, which, that's Tampa or Miami or Oakland. Not Oakland. It's not even Oakland anymore. It's Vegas. Man, I'm showing my age. But it'd probably be Miami. I wouldn't particularly want Tom. I'm telling you, I want one of these new offensive coordinators. It's the trend. One of these young offensive coordinators is the trend. I like them. I'm tired of old defensive guys, man. Tired of it. What's up, Rampage? Not the Bucks, that's for sure. I know it's kind of very bleh. So many people I talk to are they're just like I have no oomph for this team. I kind of feel that way too. It's kind of hard to be excited. Maybe as the draft comes around, we'll all get excited about the draft, and then, the hopium will happen after the draft, and every team will be headed towards the Super Bowl. You know how that goes. No, I have not seen Sonny Dykes yet. He's definitely on my list because everybody talks about him. So I've got game film on him queued up and ready to go. Quite a few linebackers I've got lined up. Actually, I've got a lot of linebackers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch them without knowing anything about them. This is what I'm going to try to do. Watch them without knowing anything about them and make my own opinions before I read other people's stuff. Because I think linebackers definitely something we're going to have to drastically shore up. Man, we got a lot. We got a lot to do. We got a lot of work to do, man. Yeah, he definitely Marty rules. He watching this. I told Tom yesterday we were talking, and I said I haven't even finished the offensive game film. For the past 8 days, the family's just been sick. Today was the first day I held my infant daughter because, wanted to make sure I was not carrying any more virus or whatever. My oldest daughter got sick Monday night last week, and she had nausea and then threw up for 6 hours straight every 12 minutes, almost on the dot. And it was horrible. So I stayed with her for 3 days, and we had to quarantine away from the baby and Molly and my other daughter, middle daughter. And then on Wednesday night, my middle daughter, same thing happened with her. The exact same thing, except her vomiting episodes were not as clockwork as my oldest daughter's, but she was still, doing it like every between 10 and 30 minutes, she would still throw up. And my oldest daughter just can't stand throwing up. I mean, and you're talking about crying and praying and screaming. She hates it. My middle daughter is much more of a tank, we call her. She's tough, man. But this was like really her first experience being, sick, throwing up. And she would do it, and she would just go back to normal. But when she did get sick, she just kind of, and it'd go all over the place. And I'd try and lean her forward, and try to get her to understand that, do it in a bucket. I know this is great information. Everybody loves to hear it, but on a towel or in a bucket or something like that. And she just had no concept of it. And she would fight me. And while she was throwing up, and it would get everywhere. I ended up having to throw away 2 complete beds full of bedding, sheets and blankets and pillows and all that stuff. I threw away a Cookie Monster towel that we've had in our family for a very long time. Everybody was sad about that because I just didn't want to clean all this stuff. I threw away all my shop towels because I had to, anyhow. So it's been, and then I had to quarantine with her, and we didn't come out until Saturday evening. I came out to watch the games at 4:30. So it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was 5 days of quarantine, and then I couldn't touched the baby and stayed away from her for another 2 more days to make it a week. So that's what I've been doing. And I wasn't able to do any game film or all that. And I told Tom, I was like, I'm not sure if I'll be on. One of the reasons why I didn't get on yesterday, because I haven't done all 22. So I got on today and I started doing it. And I got through one series with the offense. It took me almost 3 hours because it was so bad. Every play, I was just sitting there. I'd had to stop and I just looked and I was like, this is incredible. This is incredible how bad this team played in that Panthers game. It was incredible. They did not want to win this game. Or if they did want to win, that was a really bad way of showing it. We went through the defense, and that was just, for a must-win game, that was an absolutely atrocious performance by the defense. Absolutely atrocious. To me, it screams we didn't want to win. We weren't ready. We weren't prepared. We didn't want to win this game. And it goes back to what you said, Marty Rules. I don't think they wanted Todd Bowles to stay head coach. Now, I've heard all kinds of stuff about how players like him and all this good stuff and all that, but I think they know he's just, that's his ceiling, His ceiling is maybe get to the playoffs, maybe not, be average, draft pick, middle of the pack every year. They just don't seem that they did not seem like they wanted to ride and die with him. The offense was just absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious as well. And we can look at some of it, but like I said, I got through one series, and the series was so bad. It was 9 plays. It was 9 plays, 6 minutes and 14 seconds. They ran off the clock in 9 plays. We went 29 yards. 29 yards in 6 minutes and 14 seconds in 9 plays. During those 9 plays, we had a fumble. We had 2 slip and fall downs before we got to the line of scrimmage. We had Sean Tucker collided with Baker Mayfield during the handoff and fell down. We had dropped passes. We had complete breakdowns of the offensive line. I mean, it was just bad. It was just bad. And this division is going to be a powerhouse. I don't know who the Falcons are going to get in there as head coach, but they've got so many weapons. And if they get a halfway decent coach, they're going to be dangerous. Very dangerous. I thought they were going to be more dangerous than they were this year, but Zach Robinson and Raheem, they're just not good coaches. I mean, maybe Raheem's a good coordinator, maybe. I don't know. But, the Panthers, besides Bryce Young, they're a pretty stout team. I mean, their offensive line is really good. Their defensive line is really good. Their secondary is really good. The receivers are really good. They just got a crack quarterback. The Saints surprised everybody this year. I mean, they got a great defense. Very, very smart offensive play calling, to get Shuck to not go out there and screw it up. They just really basic stuff and working on the fundamental. I think we're in a lot of trouble, man. I think that we are going to remain average or below average. And the rest of the division, we might be the bottom of the division next year, all depending. But I just don't see Todd Bowles doing what needs to be done. This team doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. We have elite players on this team that have regressed to the point to where, I mean, I don't even know if you could say they're average. I mean, look at this list. Winfield Jr. What in the world has happened with Winfield Jr.? What has happened to him? Zion McCollum. What in the world happened to Zion McCollum? Tristan Wirfs. What's happened to him? I mean, he had a few games this year where he played really, really good at elite level. But most of the year, no good. Most of last year, he wasn't that good. I mean, he was okay. He was above average, but he wasn't elite. Graham Barton. What in the world happened to him? Bucky Irving. What in the world happened to Bucky Irving? My goodness, I can't remember the last time I've seen a running back just completely fall apart like Bucky Irving did this year. Levante David, he's regressed the past 2 years, ever since they put that green dot on the back of his helmet. Vita, especially towards the last half of the year here, he just kind of phoned it in. I mean, that's a problem, man. That's a problem. And it doesn't make sense. We had games like the Patriots where we were the better team. We should have won that game. But then we lost. And then we play the Panthers week 18. They should have won that game. They were the better team, but we won. We have no consistency anywhere. We start off the season running strong power run, gap running plays. We were just really focused on that. We didn't run any zone blocking until what? Week 7? Week 6, I think. I was surprised when I saw it. And then that became what we ran. Why did we switch? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. What happened to Buccaneers? What in the world happened there? This team doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And I can't figure it out. The only thing I can think is head coach. That's the only thing I can think. You know, it just the team just kind of just went, we're fine with being mediocre. You know, they don't have that dog in them. And we're going to have to put up with the Falcons with a new coach and all that talent. We're going to have to put up with, a new coach with the Saints. I mean, he's not a first-year coach, but, he's a young, new coach. We got a young, new coach in Dave Canales with the Panthers. And these teams are rising up. What are we doing? We're staying the same, if not regressing. I think we're regressing. I mean, this year, our win-loss record was directly correlated with how good Mayfield played. And not necessarily even how good he played, but how good he scrambled on third down. That's the only thing that kept us in this game in week 18 was his scrambling on third down. And if you look at the first 7 games, that was the difference in all those games, was him scrambling on third down. You can't have a team where that's your quarterback has to scramble on third down to keep you in the game. I mean, that's your best player is your quarterback getting third downs with his feet. That's not sustainable, I don't think. Don't know. So much, and Liam Cohen did really good here in the offense, but I do feel like Todd Bowles' philosophy on all 3 sides, on the special teams, offense, and defense, is really hurting this team. He's got this philosophy on defense where his number one thing is, I'm going to fool you. I want to fool you. I'm going to fool you with my blitz packages. I'm going to fool you with my coverage disguises. I'm going to fool you with dropping our defensive tackles back into stand-up linebacker position. He's just going to fool you. I'm going to do things that don't make sense. I'm going to play defenses that don't make sense for this down and distance. I'm just going to fool you. That's his whole thing on defense. I'm going to surprise you. On offense, we're going to run the ball, and the screen pass is an extension of the run, so it's going to get a lot of screen passes. We saw it with Byron Leftwich. We saw it with Dave Canales. We saw it with Ian Cohn, and we saw it with Grizzard this year. It's not the offensive coordinators. It's Todd Bowles, because he sees screen passes as an extension of the run game, and he wants a run game. And, he wants these guys to control time of possession, and it handicaps these offensive coordinators. I think Liam Cohen did a really good job with it, but, Canales and Grizzard kind of struggled a bit. And special teams, he just doesn't give a crap about. I don't even think he, I remember him laughing when people were asking him about the punter, and the kickers and stuff. And he's just like, as long as they just do their job, I don't care. I mean, he laughed. He was like, it was basically saying, I don't care about special teams, just as long as they don't mess up, And we end up with the crap we got this year with special teams. And I think it affects the players. This whole, well, we got to just do our job. That's enough. We tried. That's our philosophy as a Buccaneers. We tried. You hear that with Todd Bowles all the time. The guys didn't quit. Okay. They didn't play good. They didn't quit. That's what's important. They didn't quit. And, right now, the AFC North has 3 coaching vacancies there. There's 3 teams without coaches. All right. In our division, we got one in our conference, our division. We got 1 team looking for a coach. There's quite a few teams looking for coaches. There's a lot of good coaches out there floating around. There's a lot of good coaching candidates floating around out there. And we're going to end up sitting on our butts and watching everybody else shore up. And we're going to be looking at the same crap again. And the fan base is right to be kind of down on all this. I'm down on it. So yeah, I mean, 3 of the remaining 4 teams representing the NFC in the playoffs are from the NFC West. And all 3 of them have young head coaches. Right? Well, Sean McVay, but he's still young. he's young. He's been coaching for a while, but he's still young. Offensive minded anyhow, I mean, y'all watched Houston, and they talked about the announcers. They talked about how D'Amico Ryans, he doesn't try to fool you. He's not going to, his defense is not out there doing all these shifts and adjustments and motions and, moving the safety down at the snap and doing these disguised blitzes and all that. No, they're going to show you what they're going to do. And they're like, you got to try and stop us. And they got a great defense. I mean, it's possible to do that. It's actually preferable to do that. I'd like to go back to a 4-3 and have that state of mind where, you know what we're going to do, but you got to stop us. We're going to be so good at it. I think it was for the movie Remember the Titans. Remember? He was like, we're going to be good at 5 plays, but we're going to be so good at them that nobody's going to be able to stop us. I mean, the other team's going to know what we're going to do, but they just won't be able to stop us. And that's the mindset to have, I like it. It's fun. I like innovation. I like, disguises and tricky and all that, but I don't like to build your team around that. At least not your defense anyhow. Which is way too much. Defensive players aren't known to be rocket scientists. You're trying to make them out to be rocket scientists, and it's just, I don't know. What's everybody saying? Probably the same crap I'm saying. We've been saying this forever. The offensive what's up, Joe? Offensive coordinator is going to be sloppy seconds at the end after all the coach hirings. That's what I worry about it. I mean, we got Todd Monken coming in tomorrow for a live interview. I'm like, I don't even know if I want Todd Monken. I mean, after getting a taste of Liam Cohen, I'm like, I want that. I don't know if I want to retread. What's up, realtor? You not ready to evaluate bowls yet? Yeah, that's something I worry about too, Craig, is that, you're not going to get the best guys wanting to come here because they know Todd Bowles is probably going to be a lame duck, or he's going to depend on you so much, that, and they see that he kind of scapegoated his performance this year, threw a bunch of people under the bus. So the same thing's going to happen next year. Either he's going to scapegoat you, or if you're lucky, you might be able to take his job. I don't know how that's all. To me, it's just a bad look. It's a bad look. Houston actually covers you. They don't. It is amazing, isn't it? Watching teams going, wow, their guys are like covering the receivers. They don't have wide receivers running around open. Although the Packers, man, I'll tell you what, that Packers-Chicago Bears game was some of the ugliest football I've ever seen. It was that was an ugly, but it was very entertaining because they were both sucky so bad that it was equal levels of suck, I'm anxious to watch the Seattle Seahawks play because they have given me the best games I've watched this year. And it's going to be interesting to watch them and the 49ers play because the last time they played, that was a really good game, and they're division rivals and all that good stuff. So I'm expecting Seattle to win that one. San Francisco, they hurting, man. They always hurting. Chicago, I tell you, I just don't think they're a legitimate team, but they keep making it work. So what do I know? I can't see them beating the Rams. I just can't. But it's at Chicago, and the Rams got to play on that side. So we'll see. We'll see. It'll slow them down. Houston, I tell you what, Houston, New England, that's going to be a great game. Buffalo, Denver, that's going to be a great game. Buffalo's defense is really made to stop Denver's offense. And, New England's they're just playing such good football. Man, did y'all see those quarterbacks getting slaughtered in that Chargers New England game? Man, those defenses were killing them. And a couple of times I thought Herbert was dead, man. I was like, he's not going to get up after that one. But he got up and just kept playing. I was like, man, these dudes are tough because they were getting beat up. Beat up. Yeah, good games, man. I'm not looking at any of these games and saying this is going to be a blowout or whatever. I think the Rams-Bears game is probably the biggest lopsided matchup. But again, the Bears have been pulling out these crazy, stupid wins, so can't count them out. I'm still of the opinion that Bowles is not going to be here. I'm holding out, man. I'm holding out. I think the Glazers are waiting until the playoffs are done, the Super Bowl's done. They're going to look and see who's out there. I'm not going to be off this train until training camp, probably. Corey, what's up, brother? Who came out in favor of Bowles today? Who was that, Tom? Yeah, right, Corey. Right, yeah. Yeah, no, I like defensive football. I mean, I want a team that, your defense is better than your offense. And your defense is going to be able to stop a team on third down. It's rare if they give up a third down. To me, that's what I like to watch on defense. And if you've got a team like that, if you got a defense that can stop a team, then you can have a mediocre offense and still win. Putting everything on it's not even on the shoulders of Baker Mayfield. It's on Baker Mayfield's feet. I mean, that's been our whole team this year. Our whole team has been Baker Mayfield running on third downs. That's the only thing that even gave us a winning record this year. I mean, in the Panthers game, that's the only thing that saved us. It was Baker Mayfield running on third downs. Yeah, nobody runs a pure 4-3 anymore. Nobody runs a pure 3-4 anymore. It's kind of like the offenses too. Nobody runs a West Coast offense but the majority of the time. But I would like to see a team do that where it's just, we're just going to run a pure 4-3. I mean, we used to do it. We did it all the way up until 2019. We were just 4-3. That's all we did. That's all the Buccaneers ever did up until Todd Bowles. I miss it. I miss knowing who's responsible for what, who's supposed to be where. Yeah, it's all hybrid schemes anymore. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to get away from that. It's just like, offenses, every offense runs RPOs now, and every offense runs screens, and every offense has got, these zone run blocking and power blocking and all that good stuff. So everything's a hybrid. Yeah, well, we don't have the players to run Todd Bowles' scheme either. That's been proven. I don't know, Realtor. You were saying you don't want to evaluate Bowles based on likes, traffic. I have a hard time evaluating these players based on Todd Bowles' scheme. I really do. I'm like, man, especially this year, I've been like, I don't know. It's like a Parrish and Morrison, and Elijah Roberts. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if they're playing bad or if they're just put in really bad positions here, or if they're just not being coached up well or whatever. So I'm kind of reserving my judgment for those guys this year. No need to buy Sunday ticket. That's your positive. With Bowles saving or Bowles staying, you're saving. That's our new motto, Craig. With Bowles staying, we're saving. I'd love to know the Glazers' thoughts behind it. I really would. I really would. Because you can't watch this game film and come away with the conclusion other than this whole team has regressed and didn't play well all the way around, everything. And there's no way you can't not go, man, there were some serious issues from top to bottom. You just can't do it. You can't do it. Kate, hey. Promotion window. Yeah. The whole, bring an offensive coordinator in and say, look, this is going to be your head coaching job if you do good. And get a young, I want a young offensive coordinator, that's going to be, I'd like Mike McDaniels. I don't know if I want him. Because we know what we're going to get with him. I want one of these. I want Liam Cohen. I want somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? I want an up and coming Sean McVay. I want one of these genius guru. Yeah, I was saying that, Rampage, at the beginning. I had this thought, because we know that Todd Bowles, for years he's preached time of possession. He wants the offense to run the ball, to run down the clock. He wants screen passes because they're extension of the run, and just he wants the offense to keep the ball and everything. And then this year, at the end of the season here, we've heard reports that he told Grizzard to dial it back because they were scoring too quick. And I'm like, we always hear with athletes that the elite guys want the ball in their hand at the end of the games. And I'm like, why would Todd Bowles not want his defense to be on the field? You would think, I don't think he's got a lot of confidence in his defense. This is how it came across to me when I was thinking about it. I was like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, to make that a focus of the offense, that, keep my defense off the field. That's what it sounds like. Your job as an offense is, I don't care if you score or not, just don't let my guys get on the field. Yeah, it could be the opposite, realtor. Yeah, where, you get an offensive coordinator, but at the same time, the newer offensive coordinators, young guys, they might know, they're like, I'm not ready for a head coaching job yet, or whatever. And some coordinators don't want to be head coaches. That was kind of the question with Todd Monken. It's like, has he ever showed interest in being a head coach? I don't know. Monty Kiffin was like that. Monty Kiffin, he was like, I don't ever want to be a head coach. Yeah. '49ers still have a chance. That's where the Super Bowl's at this year? San Francisco? Huh. I didn't know that. I guess I could have if I just looked at the picture with this Golden Gate Bridge on it. Yeah. I was surprised that the Panthers even made it a close game with the Rams. And again, man, it's so hard for me to watch Bryce Young play. He's just his mechanics are so bad. His decision making is just not good. I I mean, they're going to stick with him, I guess, but man, it's hard to watch him. And the rest of the team around him is getting really good. So, yeah, playoffs had all the games. There hasn't really been any blowouts. I mean, the Houston game was a kind of a blowout, but uh, yeah, it's been good. It's been good football. Good football. I'm excited to watch the Denver Buffalo game. I think that's going to be really good. Buffalo, man, they got to do it. They got right. I mean, this is how many years has it been that they've just made it to the playoffs and gotten knocked out? Every year, it's like they're bound for the Super Bowl this year, and then get knocked out. Uh, Denver's just been playing good football defensively, man. Their defense is just monstrous. Same thing with Houston. New England's defense is good too. Got some good defenses in this year. I think the weakest defenses are Buffalo and the 49ers. Best defenses are by rank. I would go Denver, Houston, Seattle, Rams, maybe tied. But man, there was in that Chargers Patriots game, there was so much. They just beat the crap out of each other's quarterbacks, and then Houston just or Aaron Rodgers, man. I mean, he couldn't hold the ball more than a second and a half before he had somebody stomping on his face mask. And what's up with them? They're not calling any penalties on hands to the or hitting the quarterbacks in the head this year, especially in the playoffs. I've seen it in every game. Quarterbacks just getting whacked right in the face, and they're just not calling it. You know, it's weird. I'd like to see us do more in free agency for sure, Realtor. It's something that, I do have a problem with Light. He's never done it during season. He's just like, he builds his team and then boom, that's it. We're going to stick with that, you know. And we really needed the help this year. He brought in JPP late. Didn't really do anything. I think that was locker room stuff, but that is an issue I've always had with Light. It's his lack of free agency adjustment in season. Oh, the sideline hit on Adams and the Panther. Yeah. uh, yeah, we've seen some good football. Yeah, the Rams catch was amazing. Todd said our deepest position group going into last season was inside linebacker. Woof. Eesh. Was that 2025? He said that this last season you know. No, I don't think they're going to make him hire a defensive coordinator. I thought that would definitely be a requirement, but I don't think Todd Bowles would do it anyhow. I think he would have walked away, which that for some reason they want him to stick around. It seems like it doesn't make any sense to me. This team doesn't make any sense to me. Um, I was watching a podcast the other day. It was two ex-Miami players. I'm not sure what the podcast is. Let me see if I've got it. But they were talking about Ndamukong Suh and when he came to the Dolphins. It was really interesting to hear. They said that Suh got this huge contract, right? And he came to the Dolphins. And after a couple of weeks, he had a a quote, players only meeting where he called the coaches in too. And they said Suh got up there and said, look, I'm getting paid, but I'm want to win and I'm going to win. And he said, if I see you out here not putting forth enough effort, or he said, there's guys out here not putting forth enough effort. That's players and coaches alike. And he said, if y'all don't start stepping up right now, I'm going to do everything I can to get y'all off this team. And then he started going around and pointing the guys out and the coaches and telling them, I'm going to get you off this team if you don't, start putting in everything. And they were like, they said, oh my God, it was the most amazing thing they'd ever seen to see a player call out a coach and threaten them, And they said after that, it was like the coaches were like trying to justify their their position with Suh. It was hilarious. And to your point, Realtor, not having players like Suh and JPP in the locker room as enforcers really hurts our defense. We got to get guys like that. You have to have guys like that in the locker room. And Bruce Arians was huge on that. Bruce Arians, first thing he did when he became coach was he got rid of Gerald McCoy because he felt like Gerald McCoy was too soft in the locker room. And he brought in JPP and Suh, and you saw what happened. We need that type of mentality in the locker room. Let me get that link. Higher Valleys. It's a TikTok link, but it was on there. He said, we have never seen a player apply pressure the way Suh did in 2015. It was hands down the greatest defensive meeting we have ever seen with our own two eyes. Yeah. Good stuff though, man. I miss that. I miss that type of defense. I just miss that smash mouth, take no prisoners. I mean, I get the scheme stuff, but at the same time, you got to have the mentality. Got to do it. Yeah, Dennis looked a lot. He was lost out there again this year a lot, especially the first part of the year. I do like Parrish. I really liked Morrison watching his game tape in college. Didn't like the injury aspect, but for some reason we have no issue whatsoever of drafting injury-prone players. It's biting us in the butt. We got to stop doing that too. Um, but Morrison did not play anywhere near as good as I thought he was going to play. You think Grizz was too young? Rand's pass coordinator. Yeah, I've seen his name thrown around some too. And to be honest with you, I haven't looked. It's one thing to look at records and all that good stuff, but looked around and seen, what styles are out there with all the different coordinators and stuff. Seattle, when we played Seattle, watching their all 22, their offense was so similar to ours. It was amazing. Right? Remember us talking about that? It was like, what? So, uh, don't know what to take away with that. I'm getting McDonald's ordered, so you think that's what it is, Pat? That they got PTSD from the years of losing, that they're content being average? It seems like it would be the opposite to me in the sense that after having Arians and Brady, that you would be, that you would understand the mentality of a winner. You know, I get what you're saying though. It scares me. I'm scared to death of going back to the 2011 through 2018 years. That was horrible football to watch. Horrible football. Two 2011 was the worst football I've ever watched in my entire life. The last 11 games. I've never seen a team play like that. Just quit. Just totally quit. Just not even try to tackle. It was bad football. That was bad. That was horrible stuff. And then, of course, the Shiano years, all the media huff around him, the Lovie Smith year. Oh, gosh. Don't even love it. That Lovie Smith was just so bad. Dirk Cutter now, I enjoyed his offense. Defense was absolute garbage. I enjoyed watching his offense. And then, of course, Jameis Winston was always entertaining, but our defenses were just so bad. But I get what you're saying, man. I mean, just the thought of going back to that again, you're just like, oh. So maybe that there is something to that. Maybe they're like, we want to stick with Bowles because we know, his philosophy. We know what we got with him. Dance with the girl that brung you. Stick with the devil, whatever. Lost season where they just promised a head coach promotion. Yeah. And I worry about that. I worry that this season coming up is just going to be a throwaway season. And it's going to suck because we got guys, who, their windows are closing, in Vita. We don't know what's going to happen with David and Evans yet. But, like Vita and Godwin and, gosh, a lot of players that, they're starting to go this way. They're on their downward slide. I hear Rampage. I thought the same thing. Jacksonville Genele. I thought the same thing. I mean, everybody was like, oh, she was so sweet and everything like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if she does that that would drive me crazy. I kind of like Greg Allman's take from it. And I get it. I get both sides of it. I thought it was sweet of her. At the same time, I thought it was kind of awkward. It was like, it's really not your place to say that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I get it. It's sports. It's entertaining. And that was entertaining. But that was my first thought. I was like, oh my gosh, is she just going to run off? She didn't even ask a question. She was just running off at the mouth. I was like, man, I bet her questions during the press conferences are very long and convoluted. The Jacksonville General, that's hilarious, Rampage, because I thought the same thing. I'm going to start calling her that. You like Mike McDaniels? Yeah, he was kind of stuck with Mike McDaniel. I mean, with Tua. I mean, I always thought Tua was a horrible quarterback, even when he played good. Uh, and I like McDaniels in the sense that, he's very innovative. He seems to enjoy coaching football. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to retread. I wouldn't be upset about it. That's for sure. She was giving a filibuster about how great Liam is. Yeah. It was, and all the other reporters were just like, oh, God, come on, give it a break, Lay. We're supposed to be professionals. Yeah, I don't think 49ers are good enough either. They've got a lot of issues right now. But again, they're one of those teams. They're kind of like Chicago. It's like they could be decimated with injuries and still pull out a win. Yeah. It's like I don't know how Chicago's doing it. Craig's still waiting for a question. I know I was waiting for it the whole time too. I was like, and then she never got around to it. And Liam was kind of like, what was he saying? He was saying, "Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am," or yeah, or something like that. And that's how he was always like that in our press conferences too. He'd be like, yeah, Can we get moving? Can we get going? Playoffs are much better without the Chiefs. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, Bills' run defense is going to cost them. Yeah. Their defense is not that great. I mean, they're much better against the pass. They're built to stop the pass, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Tampa guy. Oh man, we got a bunch of Jenna fans in here. Not. No, I did not see A-Rod cuss the reporter walk out of his presser. No. When did that happen? You get hey. So Mendoza's definitely going to the Raiders. Huh? I guess we all know that's a given. I know. Corey, we beat the 49ers, we beat the Seattle Seahawks, and we beat the Texans. Those are three really good teams, And like I said, that Seattle game was the best game I've seen all year long, not just with the Buccaneers, just the best game, period. And it was just well played by both sides. They went toe to toe. It was a slugfest. It was, all coaches were, it was a chess match. It was everything you want in football. And we walked away with the win. What happened to that team? Where'd it go? Yeah, right, Realtor. Yeah. Yeah, those weren't fluke wins either. We played good football against those teams. Yeah, I got to guard against the free agents coming to get a free paycheck. Riddick. Riddick. But Tampa's always had that problem. I don't know if other teams have that problem, but Tampa's always had that problem. Yeah, those Lovie Smith years were just atrocious with the free agent pickups. So bad. Tom, Sue's biceps are as big as my waist. He had the biggest arms, and just his shoulders were so broad. He was a freak. I knew you could take him now. Uh, Craig, and soft in the sense that he wasn't a get in your face, make you play better, or um, Arians was really, really big in that style of leadership. He he wanted the veteran leaders to take control of the locker room and keep everybody else in line. That was Arians' thing. And he felt like McCoy was just not that type of leader. He was too friendly with the guys. Yeah. Yeah, we this Panthers game, Realtor, we did not touch Bryce Young. I think we touched him once in the second quarter, and then the second time we touched him was in about halfway through the fourth quarter. Our defensive line did not make any progress. We have no pass rush, none. And I mean, I know Carolina's offensive line is good, but it was embarrassing at how bad. And even when we blitzed, we didn't even get him. It was we got to have a pass rush. It's got to be a major focus this year. We can't draft another wide receiver. We can't draft a tight end. Can't draft we got to get a pass rush. Shake machine's always broken at McDonald's. Oh, that Mike Smith era defense. And the crazy thing is, Marty, is I really liked what he was doing. I thought it was an interesting defensive scheme, but he just didn't care. He was phoning it in. I liked what he was trying to do, but he didn't. He was just like, man, yeah. But that Mike Smith defense, that was hard to watch. What's up, Zebra? Good to see you, brother. Not feeling optimistic? No, not at all. And I need Gotti to come in here and shake me up a little bit. I mean, I get the moves that Todd's making. I mean, but I just don't know if that's the answer. I'm not excited about it. Let's put it that way. Yeah. That's what I'm worried about, Joe. I mean, Bowles isn't going to change it. We've been watching it for 7 years, and he just doesn't change it. He changes the amount of times he does certain things, but that's it. It's too much. It's too much. It's a very complex defense. It's probably the most complex defense in the NFL. And, he keeps saying we got to coach it better and they got to execute it better. And at some point, you got to go, all right, maybe just dumb it down a little bit. How about that? Because you've got veteran guys that have been in the same defense for 7 years that are making mistakes. When you get to that level, you got to go, maybe it's the scheme. Maybe it's just too much, And I think if he just simplified it down a little bit, but we've been saying this for years. He's not going to do it. Not going to do it. What football guy came out in favor of Bowles today? Okay, hint, he's 1,000 times smarter than you. Well, there's nobody that's 1,000 times smarter than me. Podcaster, let me see. Is he Buccaneers podcaster or just a podcaster? Marty Rules, I appreciate it, brother. Marty Rules keeping me fed, man. Helping me with my McDonald's order. I appreciate that, man. Came out in favor of Bulls. It's probably not a Buccaneers podcaster. Pat McAfee. I know it wasn't Ian Beckles. Me and Ian Beckles disagree with about everything in our personal lives, but in our football stuff, we always seem to agree. Oh yeah, love years, man. They were tough. So yeah, I'll keep them out of my mouth, Zebra, because I don't like thinking about them either. The only good thing that came out of the love years is we got all the entertaining years of Jameis Winston. He did make football interesting, man. He still does to this day. And the funny thing is everywhere he goes, the fan base just ends up loving him until he plays for a couple years. And then they're like, this guy, he just throws way too many interceptions. Tight ends and linebacker. Yeah, I've seen that there's a lot of linebackers. Yeah, I think he's got to nail this draft. There's a lot of the fan base is kind of starting to turn on him. And if you look back at his draft record now, it's kind of he's had a couple years that have been stinkers. The Super Bowl's getting behind us. Nobody's been really happy with the deficiency we've had, especially on defense. And he's getting a lot of blame for that. The Buccaneers have never been good at drafting pass rushers, or edge guys. We just can't do it. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a league-wide thing or whatever. It's just hard to find those guys, I guess. But Jason Light has been horrible at it. Every single attempt has been absolute garbage. So I think he's got to do something this year, man. He's got to knock one of them out of the park. If not, everybody's going to start turning on him, I think. Yeah, special teams killed us this year. We lost at least 2 games because of special teams. Yeah. I'd say 2 games. And we saw it right away, too, watching the All-22 here. We were like, oh, my God, this defense is going to really hurt us, or this special team is really going to hurt us this year. And it got so bad that we stopped watching special teams like halfway through the season because it was apparent they weren't going to try to fix it. They did end up getting rid of Bullock and Ryan Smith, who were absolutely atrocious. They were 2 of the biggest reasons why our special teams were so bad. They just couldn't block or get off blocks at all. But I don't think they did that because of special teams. They got rid of those guys because of roster issues, Yeah, he can't pick offense. Now, again, I say this every year in the draft. I never get upset about drafting trenches. If you draft an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, I'm always fine with that because you can't never have enough of those guys that are good. But yeah, he can't, no tight ends, no kickers, no wide receivers, no running backs, not until late in the draft because we need some defensive help here. Yeah, I'm getting ready to start looking at I was talking to Tom about that. We're going to start looking at game film on the college guys to see who I want. We're going to start doing our draft program soon. Yeah, Joe, that'd be my preference too. Cover two. And of course, you got to mix it up a little bit, but, stick with a base defense. Rondé talked about that. Cover two man is my favorite defense, but, you got to play zone every now and then, play Tampa 2, all that good stuff. But, cover two, man. Cover two. Throw in a cover 4 shell every now and then, cover 3 every now and then. Cover 1, never been a fan of it, but you need a base defense that you can always rely on when things start to go to crap. Rondé said it perfectly. And we don't have that. Which season gave Todd elite defensive coordinator status? That's a good question, man. It's something that I've seen a lot of media guys throw out there, and I think it's a lot to do with because of his blitz packages, and how much he does change his defense from play to play. You can't guess his defense. You can never do it. I've tried doing it all the time. It's always a fun game. I used to call Molly in when I was watching film and be like, okay, look what he's doing here. Look at this pre-snap. What do you think it's going to be post-snap? That's always the fun thing with Todd's defense. It's very rare if what you see is what you're going to get. So, I think in that aspect, just how much he's changed defensives across the league with adjusting pre and post snap looks. His coverages, his blitz coverages are really nice. But at the same time, yeah, stat wise and really in game performance, you go, I don't really see the eliteness, but I think it's really more of just from it's it's kind of like, I like to relate it to music. Yngwie Malmsteen, I don't know if you know about him, a great guitar player, right? The only people in the world that know about Yngwie Malmsteen or listen to him are guitar players, right? But if you ask a guitar player, who's one of the greatest guitar players in the world, they're going to say Yngwie Malmsteen. And they probably got all of his albums, and they go to his concert. If you go to a Malmsteen concert, 90% of the people in the crowd are going to be guitar players, right? And if you get a normal person and you get them to listen to some Yngwie Malmsteen, they're going to go, what is this? I'm like, are there going to be any lyrics? They're going to be like, what is this? Am I supposed to like this? I don't even know what this is. I don't understand it. And that's kind of how Todd Bowles' defense is. Defensively, when you look at it, you go, oh, that was an interesting concept. And that's really neat what he did with those guys there. And wow, I've never seen that happen before. But for the regular guy, you're watching it and you're going, why can't we stop a pass? Why can't we stop third down? Aren't you supposed to do that? Yeah. And just like with music is, it doesn't matter how good you are. If it doesn't sound good to the normal person, it's not good music. You might impress the football guys, but if you're not impressing the normal person who wants your team to win, then it doesn't really matter. I do feel like Todd Bowles has changed how defenses are played league-wide quite a bit. A lot of teams have emulated his style. I've seen our division do it. But as far as like lockdown, tough defenses, yeah, I've never seen a year where that's happened with him. Except maybe the Super Bowl year. How many losses next year until Bowles is gone? It'll be all the way through the season because we don't fire people during season. Let me see. We ended up second this year in the division, and it really came down to Atlanta again. Same thing happened last year. You know, if Atlanta would have won any of their last, 3 games, I think it was, we wouldn't have made it. Atlanta collapsed last year at the end of the season, so that's the only reason why we made it to the playoffs. This year, they did the opposite. So, again, it was up to Atlanta whether we made it to the playoffs or not. And this year, they decided we weren't going to make it. So we ended up second in the division. I'm pretty sure if we end up third or fourth in the division, I think Todd's going to lose his job. And I think that's where we're going to end up. Just that's my feeling right now. We got to draft defensive end, linebacker, defensive end, linebacker, defensive end. I'm not going to disagree with you there. We got to hit on these. Exactly, yeah. Just keep throwing crap at the wall. Eventually one of them will work, right? Oh, he's in the Buccaneers podcast world. Oh my goodness. And he's on the pro Todd Bowles bandwagon. Wow. And he's almost as egotistical as I am. Huh. Well, I know it's nobody from PR. I know that. It's I doubt if it's Joe Buck's fans. Ira might be. He's probably. I don't think Ira's ever been really on the Fireballs bandwagon, has he? Is it? I can't remember the guy's name. Don't know. If the Bucks have one offense draft pick this year, I don't care if they do it like after round 5. I'll be okay with that. 8, 10 losses next year. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at too, Craig. Yeah. It really, really depends a lot on what we do with coordinators and stuff. But, you know, Todd knows his job's on the line. And I don't know how much longer does he even want to coach? You know, how much effort is he going to put into keeping his job? And he knows the whole fan base is turned against him. You know, so he's probably a little pissy about that too. Blitz everyone and leave plenty of outs for the quarterback. Oh no, Joe. It will be a get right game for the league next year. Man, I hope not. You know, what I'm hoping for is that we get some monsters on defense and everybody comes back with an attitude of we're going to the Super Bowl. You know, just gritty, nothing's going to stop us, blah, blah, blah. And I hope we get a coordinator that we can go, all right, and we like this guy. We want him to be head coach when we're done with Todd and hand the baton over. It's not a hostile takeover. You know, I mean, I would absolutely love for Todd Bowles to right the ship next year and for all of us to go, we hope Todd Bowles plays his contract out. I think that would be the perfect scenario. That's what I want. That's what I want. I don't want to wish for Todd Bowles to be fired or Jason Light to be fired. I can't stand that. Y'all know that. I hate calling for guys to be cut or fired or anything. And hopefully that's the way it'll go. Hopefully we'll get some hotshot offensive coordinators in here and some, tough-minded defensive guys and, maybe pick up some, Max Crosby or something and, get some good draft players and just get fired up on defense. I mean, if we had a defense that could just put the brakes on the offense like nobody's business, then our offense would flourish. We've got a good offensive line. We've got a good running back room. We've got a good wide receiver room. We've got a capable quarterback. We've got all the pieces. I like our tight ends. I'm not, is Kate Otten a world beater? No. Is Payne Durham a world beater? Probably not. Maybe. I mean, I like him. I think he's a much better route runner and receiver than Kate Otten. But Kate Otten's a gritty guy. Kate Otten's a grit guy. He's like O'Keefe. They just out there hitting people. That's all that matters. I like our offensive line. Feeney stepped it up a little bit. He was horrible at first. He stepped it up a little bit. I've definitely seen worse. Michael Jordan, he's had tough time. He's not the best in the world. Barton had a tough year, but he shorted up a little bit. But still, I give him a C+, B- grade for the year. I think we get Cody Mock back. I think we get Bredesen back. We'll be all right. Wide receivers, of course, we got great wide receivers. So, I think you just get a defense that can stop an offense, and we can go to the moon, man. I want to be excited about this team. I really do. It's my Bucs, man. I hate going into a season with a mopey, not having hope attitude. I hate it. I hate it. And I want something to get me out of it now because that's where I'm at right now. And I'm at, every day I'm looking at Twitter and I'm like, I'm just waiting to see. Hopefully that word will come down. And I hate that feeling. I hate it. Hopefully we'll, wanting to see changes. And, I want us to just knock out some draft prospects, man. We're going to start looking at film. And I'm going to get excited about guys, start talking about getting these guys, and hopefully we'll get one or two of them. And then we'll get some surprise guys. Hopefully David Walker will be something. We never got to see him play. I liked him on film. Very disappointed in Elijah Roberts. He had a couple of games where I was like, ooh, this guy's going to be something. And then just totally disappeared. Just totally not effective for the rest of the year. We got, what's his face? That I liked. So, maybe there is hope there and we're just all, still reeling from the kick in the nuts we got to close out the season. Tough way to end the year, man. Especially after the beginning of the season, how great everything was going. Garrett Green is on future reserve contract, Tom. I know you told me about that the other day, but just throwing that out there. Nobody picked him up during the season, did they? When we let him go. Nash Hutmacher. J.J. Roberts. Yeah. What happened to him? Is he going to come back from injury or what? We got guys that we didn't get to see anything from. I liked Tej Johnson, but him and Egbuke just seemed to just get completely discombobulated with the playbook in the second half of the season. Something. Next year we go 3-14. Light cooks and gets us Crosby and a killer rookie defensive end. Monken comes in as offensive coordinator and gets 2, 13, and 14, all 1,000 yard reception yards. Todd gets his pass rush back. Baker throws 4,500. There you go, Zebra. See? Oh, he is with Pewter Reports. And see. Oh, Quepo? Okay. I didn't think anybody over there had any nice things to say about Vols. Huh. Bowles doesn't like trading draft picks, doesn't like having a pass rush. Keep draft picks to get JTS and Logan Hall players. Yeah. And yeah, I don't think we got David Walker for his pass rush skills. I think we got him for his coverage skills. Yeah, Tom Bowles doesn't like using his timeouts either. Yeah, see, Zebra bringing the hopium. I like that. We need Gotti up in here, man. Gotti's all about the hopium. Our pewter optimist. A roller coaster season that never went back up. Yeah, yeah. And it really sucked too, because what we were seeing against the Patriots, the Bills, and the Rams wasn't that bad. The Rams game, I think, really they did beat us up. But then we played the Cardinals, and it shouldn't have been nowhere near as close as it was. And then the Saints beating us is really, we just lost it. We lost it. And from then on, it was just a nosedive. The Lions game, we just really got out-coached in that game. That was a really, really good coaching performance by their side. Then we came back and we beat the Saints after that, expectedly, but we did it. Then they had that bye week and just never came out of it, man. Never came out of it. And that's another thing. We got to be a much more physical football team. I hate missed tackles, but I really hate missed tackles where you got the guy and you use one of these new crappy tackling techniques and it's completely ineffective. And man, do we do that a lot. Let's get back to good tackling. And I still put this out there. When is the last time you've seen a Buccaneers defender decleat a guy with a tackle? I mean, it's been a long time. And we need that. We need more physical. Your defense has got to be scary. You got to scare the offense. And we don't have that. And we don't have that in our tackling. We don't have it in our coverage for sure. But gosh, how long have I been complaining about that? Where quarterbacks will just throw right into our coverage because they don't fear our secondary at all. And now they're not even scared of our running defense. I mean, they were running right down our throats at the end of the year because Vita's kind of checked out and Logan Hall ain't doing much. And Our linebackers are getting blocked up or confused. And that's another thing. I talked about for years, I've talked about how smart our defense is. Past 2 years, they have gotten dumb as heck. Not only are they falling down on their assignments, but they're getting fooled by simple play actions and jet sweeps and screens. We got a lot of work to do, man. Got a lot of work to do. G-dubs. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, Joe. We had to root for the Saints twice. You know how hard that was? It's like throwing up in your mouth. They all share a group text. It's possible to me, G-dubs, that what they do is they just go, I'm just going to ignore his defense. I'm not going to try and figure it out. Because they do play a lot of times like they don't, they're just not even thinking about our defense. They're not thinking about the coverage. They're not thinking about the pass rush. They're not thinking about where the linebackers are at or what they're doing. They just play their game and act like we're not there. And it's kind of very effective because they'll catch us in our coverage switches. They'll catch us with guys running with their backs towards the ball, 15 yards downfield. They'll run right past our defenders, because they're too busy setting the edge or trying to get off a stupid block. I think they've just figured out that if you just act like Todd Bowles' defense isn't there, instead of trying to figure his defense out, just pretend like it's not there, you're bound to eventually do something really good. It was like, gosh, who was it? I think it was the Patriots. Was it the Patriots? Gosh, where I was like, all they did was run zone beater after zone beater after zone beater because they knew eventually we were going to drop into some stupid zone, and they just nailed us with it every time. We'd show man and then drop back into zone, and bam, we'd get slaughtered. It was like they didn't care. It's like, we're just going to run zone beater every play. Because eventually they knew we were going to drop back into one and we were going to get burned by it. What's up, Adam? Yeah, Todd should have been fired last year. And G-dubs, one of the big things that Todd is good at, I'll give him credit for this, is his blitzing packages. I complain about our, for years I've been saying that we don't get pressure unless we blitz, but we do get pressure when we blitz a lot. And this year he just kind of stopped blitzing. I'm like, the one thing you're good at, and you cut it out or you reduce it heavily. I mean, we had a couple of games where we only blitzed 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I was like, what? Why? Like shooting yourself in the foot. Like, I'm really good at this, so I'm going to stop doing it. What's up, Wayne? Defense is way off the mark. We tackle like we're trying to put a guy's coat on. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. Oh wow. Hmm. Um. Yeah. I don't like our tackling at all. Never been a fan of it. And it appears to me that we don't practice tackling and we don't really teach because we have so many guys that use so many different styles, and I don't like most of them because it's like I can't stand I can't stand Yaya's alligator roll. I can't stand it. I hate it. It it's a very risky tackle, and it's so many times he's just got burned with it. And I've never liked it ever since it's been introduced in the league. Don't like it. But there's just so many guys on our defense have so many different styles that I feel like, to me, that's saying that we don't teach tackling. We're not, it's kind of like, look, you're professionals, you know how to tackle. Y'all just tackle however you want to tackle. Whatever you're comfortable with, do that. And we got very few guys that tackle how I like tackling. You're still afraid of Sue? Yeah, I wouldn't mess with Sue at all. Same thing with JPP. I wouldn't mess with him. I'd be yes, sir, in both of them with everything. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He'd come over and be like, what you got towards my drink? I'd be like, yes, sir. Let me check my wallet. I think I've got some money in my bank account too. You want me to withdraw? I had some money I was saving for my kids' college fund, but you could have that. Yeah. Yeah, who was it that doesn't hate the Saints? Oh, that was you, Tom. Get Dungy back? Yeah, that'd be kind of funny, actually. We have Dungy as defensive coordinator and John Gruden as head coach / offensive coordinator. How awesome would that be? And then no, have Tony Dungy, defensive coordinator, but Todd Bowles or John Gruden as offensive coordinator, Bruce Arians as head coach. Bam! Ooh. Right? Yeah. That's the problem, Joe. Our coaches are not making players better. I think they're regressing. I read off a list earlier about all the players on our team that I feel have regressed the past 2 years, and definitely this year. You hate Gruden? Yeah. Yeah, and we always have quite a few of them per game, Waymo. I mean, it's rare if we don't have 6 missed tackles in a game. That's like our floor. 6 missed tackles. That was private knowledge. All right, guys, I got to get off here. I got to go eat some McDonald's. I'm starving. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Tomorrow, I'm going to try and finish up this offense. So I was going to go over some of the all 22 here, but we'll do that tomorrow with the offense against the Panthers game, because y'all got to see this. Y'all saw how bad the defense played against the Panthers week 18. You got to see this offense. We should not have won that game. I don't know how we did. I really don't. It's a miracle. We won the game because Baker Mayfield scrambled on 3rd downs. Again, that was our saving grace. But I got to get off here. I appreciate y'all hanging out, and hopefully there'll be some news tomorrow we can talk about, all that good stuff. But we're going to cover the all 22 regardless. So I'm out, and until next time, go Bucs.